22 people died in a stampede at Mumbai's Elphinstone station yesterday. One of those injured died today. But the blame game is almost expected. But do these fiery exchanges of allegations only work to obfuscate critical issues affecting the common person? Well, 23 people are dead after that stampede, crushed to death on an overcrowded bridge connecting two suburban stations. A bridge used day in and day out by thousands of commuters every day. Here's what the Railway Minister of India had to say following that tragedy.
मैंने हाई लेवल इंक्वायरी चीफ सेफ्टी ऑफिसर वेस्टर्न रेलवे से ऑलरेडी ऑर्डर कर दी है, जो उस पूरे कारणों में जाएगी और जगह का भी इंस्पेक्शन करके हमें जल्द से जल्द बताएगी कि इसके क्या कारण थे.
Now, this is only the latest in a line of accidents reported from India's exhaustive railway network this year. The ministry has responded, laying out details of an action plan. They've decided to audit all suburban stations, inspect each of them within a week. Teams have also been identified for making sure that areas of concern are looked at. Work on bridges is to be completed ASAP, as per what exactly the railway ministers had to say. But all of this aside, the politics becoming more and more clear given this statement that was made by one of Maharashtra's regional parties, Maharashtra Navnirman Sena, or MNS as it's more popularly known. The chief of that party decided to take things a little further, hit out at the BJP where it knows it's going to hurt. Listen in to Mr. Thackeray's statement.
हे होईपर्यंत ते होईपर्यंतचा विषय नाही, परंतु मुंबईमध्ये बुलेट ट्रेनची एकही वीट रचली जाणार नाही. अजिबात होणार नाही. मोदींना जर करायचं असेल तर गुजरातमध्ये करावं त्यांनी, परंतु इथे बुलेट ट्रेन होणार नाही.
Mr. Thackeray also used that opportunity to push his party's nativist agenda once again, saying that stampedes would continue in Mumbai as long as migrants kept pouring into the city. So the political battle lines are clearly drawn, and as usual, it seems like the common person is the one caught in the narrow confines. Tragic as the stampede in Mumbai's Elphinstone station was, WION has found that the situation was no better at other stations either. Here's a quick report filed by my colleague Pragya Jha. Take a look.
It's been barely 24 hours since the tragedy struck Mumbai. Now, yesterday at about 9:40 a.m., the scenes at the staircase of a footover bridge in Elphinstone station was something that people don't want to remember. It was ghastly. Now, this staircase that I'm standing here today claimed life of 22 commuters who came down the staircase. The scenes that you see today behind me, the kind of traffic or flow of passengers you see behind me, is nothing compared to what this staircase experiences on a daily basis. Today being a public holiday, the crowd is really less. And usually between Monday to Friday, when offices are functional, when the MNCs and corporates that are here, located here in this part of Mumbai are functional, the scenes are different. The crowd is massive. People are thronging on the staircase to exit the platform, and it gets very difficult to even breathe. I'm able to stand here and report because it is a public holiday today. There is not the usual crowd, the usual flow of passengers that you see on the staircase. Now, I would ask my camera person to just pan around and show you the premises of the platform here. Now, there are two adjacent stations that function, the Parel station and the Elphinstone station. Now, both these stations at a time, there are 4 trains that come in the platforms. Passengers alight from the trains and they take this bridge that's connecting to the staircase. Now, the scenes of every day are difficult to explain. One has to be there, one has to be amongst the crowd and be felt that they don't even have to move. In fact, they are pushed down to the staircase. This was something that happened even yesterday. But what also triggered this incident that took place yesterday were the rains. Now, it rained, there was a short spell of rain yesterday which made the entire staircase very slippery. There was presence of water. With this, the passengers sort of slipped and one after the other, they kept tumbling down. So this kind of incident has left 35 people injured and 22 people have lost their life. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra has expressed sadness over this incident, and the Rail Minister of India was also here yesterday in Mumbai. He took the stock of the situation. The Chief Minister has said that there will be an audit of such bridges, because this is not the only bridge here in Mumbai, but there are several such bridges which can claim lives and also result in such tragedies. With video journalist Kiran Umrigar in Mumbai, Pragya Jha for WION.
And following Friday's stampede, Mumbaikars are seething. But given the ground reality and the absence of a unified political will, it seems that the worry that more tragedies are only waiting to happen seems only too true. All right, let's get the conversation going on what really afflicts the Indian Railways. Joining me live on the broadcast right now is Mr. V.K. Agnihotri. He's joining in from New Delhi. He's a former member of the Indian Railways. Good evening, Mr. Agnihotri. Thanks for speaking with us. Keeping the politics aside for a minute, if that is possible, are you concerned that what's happened in Mumbai on Friday is only symptomatic of a much larger malaise, and that is disrepair of the Indian Railways?
You know, thing is like this, that World Bank realized that Mumbai Suburban system needs improvement, and way back in 98 they started giving loans and they wanted projects to be made, and there was a separate organization created in Mumbai to handle these projects, and from 98 to 17 it is 19 years, and this project should have been part of the World Bank study, because World Bank wanted each station to be studied in totality and to find out what is lacking there for the traffic which is expected. You know, one study which is very common in all the developed world is the traffic study, and which is not done in India the way it should be done. You know, any clearance to a building or an office should include a traffic study, that if you make this kind of residential area or you make an office here, how much traffic it will generate, and how will you handle that traffic?
So also, if I can ask you, the other thing that's come up is, you know, Mr. Thackeray of the MNS has gone and said that, and other political members as well have said that till the time the railways isn't fixed, the afflictions that are affecting the Indian Railways, there's no point undertaking projects like the bullet train. Do you think that that only let's just say obfuscates the problem, as it were, that you know, by comparing apples and oranges, one's taking away from the problem at its crux?
No, thing is that there is no connection between bullet train and the development of the Mumbai stations. There is no connection whatsoever, because the two streams of the funds are different, and two technologies are absolutely different, and actually Shinkansen, based on which our bullet train is being made, means new line. It will be a brand new line, and India will not spend any major money on that till about 15 years. And if India works well, they should generate money to pay back the money.
Sure. And what do you make, sir, of this whole idea that, you know, Mr. Raj Thackeray has gone ahead and said something to the effect that as long as migrants continue to flow into Mumbai, the stampedes will continue? Do you think politics and politicians today do not have the maturity, don't have the will to tackle a situation for what it is and only try and push their own narrow agendas in situations like these?
You know, India is a democratic country, and every citizen has a right to live where he wants to live, and nobody can tell him that whether you should go to this town or not that town. Wherever there is opportunity, he can go, and no visas are given for coming to Mumbai.
All right, stay with me, sir. Let's before we go any further, let's also show our viewers, give them an idea of how the situation stands when it comes to the Delhi railway station. My colleague Nagin decided to do a quick analysis of what's happening over there. Take a look.
Yesterday, more than 22 people died in Mumbai and in a stampede at Elphinstone railway station. We are in Delhi today at New Delhi railway station to figure out how are the situations here. So here the police is in full control, and they have also formed a crowd management team which is taking care of people who are at the station and who are also staying at the bridges. They are making sure that people don't gather on the bridges, which is one of the reasons of maximum stampedes which happen near the bridges at the railway station. With video journalist Rahul Bhati, Nagin Singh, WION.
Mr. Agnihotri, going by that report, do you feel that Delhi's got it right to a degree by putting together these crowd management teams? And is that a necessity given the kind of numbers that are witnessed on suburban stations in Mumbai?
No, Mumbai, there is another malice which needs to be corrected. On these footover bridges, there is market. And that market takes away quite a good width of these footover bridges. And there is no business for the market to be generated on the bridges.
Right, sir. We'll leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining us on the broadcast and bringing to our notice, some of those pertinent observations you had about the situation as it stands. Right, let's turn our attention to another one of the big stories we're tracking for you this Saturday. Come Sunday, Europe will witness a turning point when the autonomous Catalan region will vote to break free from Spain. The referendum has already been declared illegal by the Spanish government, but it seems that Barcelona has made up its mind. Here's a detailed report.
The stage is set for a big showdown. After months of protests and demonstrations, autonomous Catalonia will vote for its independence from Spain. The only catch, the referendum has already been deemed illegal by the Spanish government. However, the Catalans are undeterred by the hurdles. Unmoved by the heavy security presence, unshaken by threats of retaliation by the Spanish government. More than 2,300 polling stations are ready for the referendum. A total of 5.3 million Catalans have the right to vote.
Que com a poble que som d'experiències amb dificultats, a cada dificultat ens fèiem més forts. Això vol dir guanyar, amigues i amics.
Jo crec que anirà bé, que la gent anirà amb il·lusió i podrà votar el que vulgui. No crec que hi hagi problemes.
But this vote will not be a cakewalk for Catalonia. Following government orders, Google has deleted apps that earlier allowed the Catalan government to spread information. Thousands of police personnel have been deployed to prevent people from voting. Schools scheduled to be used as ballot stations have been cordoned off. But parents called for a mass sleepover with tents and sleeping bags. Catalonia has made up its mind. It will vote for independence. The referendum is illegal yet symbolic. Catalonia is one of Spain's richest regions, makes up for 16% of Spain's population, 19% of its GDP, and contributes to 20.7% of foreign investment. It has its own culture, own language. It now wants its own republic. Bureau Report, WION.
From the 2,315 votation points that Catalan government has prepared, 1,300 have been sealed off. Among them, there are 163 where there are people doing unsporting activities. All of them have been warned by the Catalan government police that they have to leave these spaces before 6 in the morning so that they can definitely be closed. People will go to vote. According to surveys, it will be over 52, 53, 54% of the population. People that are totally pacific. People who want to express with normality their opinion about who the political future of Catalonia should be.
And to talk with us about that vote, joining us from Barcelona is Jordi Munoz. He's a professor of political science at the University of Barcelona. Professor Munoz, thanks very much for speaking with us here at WION. We're hearing that 2/3 of those polling stations have been sealed by Spanish authorities. Does that symbolically also put an end to whatever was being hoped for from the Catalans when it comes to the referendum tomorrow?
Well, we'll see. I think everything is very open now, and we must be following the developments. There are many polling places that have been closed but are actually open with people inside. That's going to keep them open, and some of them might be open tomorrow in the morning. So I think it's very hard to predict whether the referendum is going to be held with normality or not.
Fair enough, but do you think the fact that we've seen so many protesters gathering in the thousands to go ahead with this referendum, in many ways, rejecting Spain's allegations that this is an illegal vote, is the symbolism here really what's more important and of concern to Spain?
Well, of course, this referendum comes after 15 or 16 attempts by the Catalan government and the Catalan officials in the Catalan parliament to negotiate a referendum such as the one held in Scotland in 2014, for example, which came after an agreement between the Scottish and the British government. This is what the Catalan institutions have been trying to do so far. And of course, there's a lively social movement behind them, who is pushing them towards actually holding the referendum.
All right. Stay with me, Professor Munoz. I just want to give our viewers an idea of what exactly Catalonia is all about, why these protests have intensified in the days ahead of this referendum. Our senior foreign editor, Padma Rao, explains more in this next package. Take a look.
This is the home of Salvador Dali, as also Juan Miró. This is where thousands of tourists flock to sunbathe in Costa Brava or ski down the slopes of the Pyrenees. This is Catalonia, one of Spain's richest regions, and whose capital Barcelona is a visually rich tribute to one of Spain's greatest architects, Antoni Gaudí. But Catalonia is distinct, unique, speaks its own language, Catalan, and feels a greater kinship with southern France and Spain's state of Valencia to its south. Catalonia has always been autonomous, but after being persecuted by Spanish dictator Franco in the late 30s, a demand for independence from Spain was born. It is that demand that has led to the current standoff between Madrid and Barcelona. The Catalans want a referendum to declare independence, and ahead of the controversial vote, Spain has clamped down hard by seizing ballot papers and boxes, imposing heavy fines on officials organizing the referendum and declaring a virtual emergency in its northeastern province.
Catalonia's independence is not against anyone, it's not against Spain and much less against Spaniards. The desire for independence is born out of the will to construct our own personality from our own particularity, a better world and a better Europe, with the will to overcome the political tensions we've had with part of the state institutions and to have the capability to build a framework for a more open society with better opportunities where there is no discrimination and where at the end citizens feel closer to their representatives than they do now.
Mucho más abierta, plural, con mejores oportunidades, donde no haya discriminaciones.
There are reasons that stretch beyond Franco and the World War and have been on the rise since 2010, when a Spanish court curtailed Catalonia's separatist dreams. Things reached a head with the European economic crisis, which hit Spain particularly hard. resentments and debts began to grow, and Catalans began to feel they were giving away too much of their land's earnings to the central government in Madrid.
It's simple. There are economic reasons, identity reasons, linguistics, which are part of identity. But basically, it is because what future is there in this current state of things? None. I want hope and a future. It's basically because of that.
Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy is not budging for now. He got the Constitutional Court to suspend the referendum-enabling law passed by the Catalans and has ensured that Madrid takes control of Catalonia's police and its banks. There are protests across the region, but Spain is no banana republic. So it is unlikely that the region of 7.5 million citizens will turn violent ahead of this vote. But like the many wars besetting Spain since the economic crisis, the question of the referendum is unlikely to go away, at least till Madrid makes some major concessions and Barcelona accepts in return for full separatism from Spain. Padma Rao, WION.
Professor Munoz, I have time for one quick last question. How important is Catalonia's economic output, and do you feel that that is really the point of concern for Spain?
Well, I'm not sure about that. I think the key point of concern for Spain is keeping the integrity of the state. It's like a nationalist concern rather than an economic one. I think within the European Union, both sides could accommodate a peaceful separation that would do very little harm economically for both sides, given that we are all within Europe, within a free trade zone already and a single currency area.
Fair enough. Good points all. Thanks, Professor Munoz. Thanks very much for joining us and sharing your thoughts with us here on WION.